Kevin O'Leary, the successful entrepreneur and star of ABC's Shark Tank, was on CNBC this morning and he was on fire. It all started when Kevin was asked about the Inflation Reduction Act, and Kevin rightly pointed out that if you are going to print more money, it does not reduce inflation. In fact, it does the exact opposite. Here is Kevin just getting warmed up on national television this morning.
I'm going to go to Kevin because I want to start not on a negative side, but I know that you have problems with this bill, and I want you to spell out what they are so that we can have a debate about it.
Inflation right now is around the voter is around food and energy. Energy's rolled over a bit. That's good. And of course, anything can happen till November 8th. But the rest of this bill, highly inflationary, ain't going to help. Going to be lots of unhappy people. And in various close races, whether they be Senate or otherwise, I think what occurs, and again, this is speculation on my part, but I'm going to invest on this premise. This is going to be the last legislation this administration ever gets to put through after November 8th. One of the reasons Pelosi went to Taiwan was she knows, and she's going to be a very successful politician. It's over. She's not going to be speaker after this midterm election. And she made her move, and I applaud her for it. It was very gutsy. But bottom line is, this is last chance for romance on policy, and then it's total gridlock, and that's a good thing.
Now, as Kevin points out, yes, if you create more money and throw it into the system, you actually make inflation worse. It is shocking that politicians, central bankers, and people in positions of influence did not learn this lesson over the last 2.5 years. Just as in 2020, many people were yelling and screaming, saying if you continue to create more money and put it in the system, we will get high inflation. The people in power, they said, no, we won't. And they were wrong. Kevin's pointing out that although they named this the Inflation Reduction Act, it isn't going to reduce the inflation at all. And then Kevin O'Leary went absolutely bananas on national television when he was asked about the carried interest loophole. He started to state that entrepreneurs and investors are risking capital, building businesses, and creating jobs. Here is Kevin in his full glory on CNBC this morning.
If you're against corporate welfare and you're against this sort of industrial policy, why have an industrial policy which benefits you personally?
Of course it does. I'm admitting I'm being transparent. But you're telling me a sector that I compete with, let's say chips, gets free money and I'm a taxpayer paying for it? That's another incentive. The incentives drive the economy. The incentives in private equity have driven the most successful private equity sector in history.
These incentives don't change the returns. These incentives don't change the returns. They change the returns and how much money people like you get to pocket.
Andrew, I take risk. That's what I do. I trade billions of dollars of risk.
If you want to take risk with your own money, God bless you and pay capital gains on it. But if you're going to take risk with other people's money, why should you be getting capital gains rates on that money?
Because I manage that money and people trust me to manage it. And that's why they do it.
Oh, my goodness, there is no legitimate argument for carried interest, the loophole. There is no legitimate argument for it. And Kevin can try to make that. But it's not real. And the fact that the industry has been able to keep up their lobbying successfully on this.
What about the millions of jobs we've created?
You're making money off of money that's not even yours.
Wait a second. We've created millions of jobs in this country. We fix broken companies every day. We look all around the world for opportunities to attract capital to America, to invest it here. How many politicians actually create jobs? When this sector gets attacked, I get offended because we do really hard work to build our economy. And we've done a great job for 65 years.
Kevin, a week ago, you said you didn't want money to go to to chips because you didn't want corporate welfare. For that group. And you said, look how profitable they already are. Look how profitable the private equity industry. This is the wealthiest industry in the country in terms of the people on an individual basis.
Andrew, when in America do we punish success? When did we start doing that? When do we disincentivize risk of capital? Why are you attacking?
It's not because it's not your capital.
It's not your capital. Asking you to pay a fair share is not a punishment, Kevin, no matter how you try to characterize.
Do not assume that raising taxes reduces deficit. All it does is crush economic activity. That's been proven out many, many times. We'll let this thing play out. But when there's bad policy, there's bad policy.
Kevin's got a great point. Taxes are either used as an incentive or as a punishment. And at the end of the day, if we are going to target the world's most successful entrepreneurs and investors, You're going to disincentivize the investment of capital and the continued creation of jobs. If we continue to watch this play out, we now live in a country where more than 50% of some people's income is actually going to pay taxes. They get paid less for their work than the government. And so, as tale as old as time, taxes, what should be the right rate? Who should get charged what? And when should you have to pay it? The debate continues. Kevin O'Leary's got a great point here. If we want innovation, if we want job creation, then we should probably go ahead and empower entrepreneurs and investors to continue taking risks, to continue experimenting, and to continue driving innovation. Because as we know, that comes from the private sector. And as we've seen time and time again, entrepreneurs solve the problems that society needs most.
Hey you, did you like this video? Great, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and see you next time.